Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. This is Chris with potstocks.com and it's January 31st. Overall, the sector was red this week with only a few winners. This follows a trend of end of months trading relatively weak. A few decent gainers this week include Organigram, OGRMF, and Athenor, RSSFF. In stock news this week, Medican Enterprises, MDCN, announced they're extending the acquisition of a retail dispensary in Phoenix, Arizona. They anticipate closure by mid-February. OXIS approved to uplist on the OTCQB from the OTC Pink. Basically what this means is that they're now fully reporting to the SEC. If you're curious, we've left a link below the video that goes over in some detail what the different tiers of the OTC are. Stevia Corp, STEV, filed 2 more patents. We talked about their ibuprofen and cannabis blend last week. This week it's an naproxen and cannabis blend with the goal of pain treatment and helping with heart disease. CTCO, Peak Pharmaceuticals, received positive news from an equity research company. They gave their stock a 12-month price target of $1.26 a share, and it's currently trading at 18 cents a share. We don't know what their methodology is, so it's hard to comment on specifics, but that could be very good news for CTCO investors. MJMJ, the Mary Jane Group, presented at the CANL Webcast this week. They own 2 bud and breakfasts in Colorado and are modeling their business on cannabis-friendly hospitality services. And they were actually featured recently on 60 Minutes. Their press release said they'll have financial statements out, but the PR itself kind of focused on the CANL Webcast. So we're expecting more detailed financials in the near future. The Pinole-Vilpomo Nation in California's Mendocino County will be the first tribe to grow medical marijuana on tribal land. They'll be assisted by United Cannabis, CNAB. United Cannabis will receive $200,000 in prepaid royalties and 15% of net sales. For now, they'll be focusing on indoor cannabis grow operations, but have plans to move into industrial hemp as well. CANL Labs, CANL, launched StrainData.com this week, a platform for matching cannabis strains with symptoms kind of similar to Leafly. We'll see if they can get some market share of attention there. American Green, ERBB, announced their new Zaz machine will launch in Seattle next week at the Seattle Caregivers Dispensary. MSIG released a quarterly report that outlines some share movements in regard to the Vapolution acquisition and details some increasingly positive revenues. In legalization news, the governor of Vermont signaled his support this week for legalization in his state. Vermont could become the first state in history where elected officials directly legalize pot, and Governor Peter Shumlin said he continues to support efforts to legalize marijuana. Vermont's constitution prohibits ballot referendums, meaning any decision on marijuana would have to come directly from lawmakers. Brazil this week legalized CBD for medical purposes. The country now recognizes the therapeutic properties of cannabidiol, saying it's now a controlled substance and no longer illegal. They're now drawing up legislation to permit the import of cannabidiol, given it's not currently produced in Brazil. Up to $30 million could be returned to Coloradans in tax refunds this year. Colorado's constitution caps the amount of taxes it can receive, which means a great deal of the tax revenue generated from legalized marijuana would be returned to taxpayers in the form of a refund. Delaware nudges closer to legalization, with several state representatives introducing a bill to reduce criminal penalties for possession. Under the new law, possession would be a simple civil fine like a traffic ticket. Loretta Lynch, nominee for the Attorney General to the United States, this week said that she does not support legalization, nor would she as Attorney General. This isn't really surprising, as she made her career as a prosecutor during the high tide and the war on drugs, and most law enforcement officials are just vocally against legalization. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission met this week to discuss how best to go about regulating cannabis in their state. From the articles we read, most of the discussion centered around learning from Colorado's rollout and how best to replicate those positive results. Specifically, regulation of edibles and proximity of growers and processors and retailers to schools. It sounds like a lot of people there really understand how beneficial the cannabis industry will be, and some were going so far as to call it going to be like their Silicon Valley. The Denver airport announced this week that it's banning the sale of cannabis souvenirs inside the airport. So basically you won't be able to buy souvenirs featuring pot leaves inside the airport. This isn't so much news as much as it's just good knowledge to have. High Times published a quick reference list of South American cannabis laws. You can find the link below the webcast. This is going to become increasingly important as South America has really suffered a lot due to the war on drugs, and they're rapidly changing course towards widespread legalization. Once that takes hold, there's going to be a ton of import and export competition between these countries. Let's move on to charts. Last week we anticipated good movement from UTRM, WNTR, and UPOT. UTRM did decently if you caught the ride up on Monday. but that was basically its only good performance for the week. WNTR just flat out didn't do well, and UPOT actually did decently with a 4-cent gain early in the week. So let's see if we can redeem ourselves this week. ITNS had almost 5 million volume on Friday and started what appears to be an uptrend. GRCU should also see a bullish continuation. And that's about it. We're looking at a few stocks that look reasonable for a bounce. There's a lot of charts that don't look bad. They just don't look good enough to make any reasonable predictions about. Remember, any forward-looking statements about charts are not at all an endorsement of the company and in no way are a recommendation to buy or sell any security. These are for informational purposes only. Consult with a licensed financial specialist before investing. If you want to learn more about reading charts and patterns, though, go check out our 2015 Advanced Trading Guide available on the website. So congrats to everybody who made some money in January. Thanks to our followers for keeping us updated on your favorites. If you see a strong chart or some news that we don't catch, please let us know on Twitter or Facebook. We think February is going to get pretty crazy, so stick with us and come back every week to find out all the latest and greatest in the cannabis stock. Shout out this week goes to Marijuana Investor News, mjinews.com. They have some great writers and analysts over there producing some outstanding content for investors. Go check them out, and be sure to take a look at the Marijuana Investor Summit 2015. It's at the Crown Plaza in Denver from April 20th to the 22nd this year, and it's going to be absolutely huge. And that's it. Thanks for joining us. Stay in the green and go Seahawks.